Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm the Rambling Film Lover. So on today's episode, I wanted to talk about something that forever changed a time-old tradition of mine. Every year, around February, I would always sit down and watch the Oscars because as a cinephile, I do agree with honoring a specific performance of the past year. It's only natural, and I believe that there is a council of actors or industry people that unanimously vote on each character, and I always had faith that they knew who they were voting for and that they chose someone who did indeed put out an incredible performance. But at the same time, I was aware that there are people out there who really thought that the Oscars were either rigged or that there was heavy influence to favor one person or another. And this goes back to an example would be Elizabeth Taylor. She won an Oscar for Butterfield 8 when in reality she had been, during the times that the nominations were coming out, she was filming Cleopatra and she had suffered a near fatal bout of pneumonia, and I remember she even had the surgery. So it's pretty much accepted that she won that Best Actress Oscar kind of like as it was a sympathy gift from the Academy. And that year it actually should have been probably Shirley MacLaine for her performance in The Apartment, and she even said later, I lost to a tracheotomy. So it was just one of those times, I guess, or that was a prime example where I guess you see that it's not always going to go to the person that it should have gone to. Elizabeth Taylor did in fact win her second Oscar a couple years later for Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which she absolutely deserved. But still, even she, and I like that she said she was pretty upset that she had won it, like she was aware of it, like really, because she didn't even really like her performance in Butterfield 8. And I thought it was an okay film, but yeah, not something Oscar-worthy. Not really. But my issue, or my moment of awakening, my epiphany in regards to all this came after I found out the nominations for the 91st Academy Awards. I was absolutely crushed, and I was so disillusioned after I found out who was snubbed that I was just like, you know what, I think I've just been making excuses for this award show for a while, because how could they get this so wrong, so blatantly incorrect? It was insane. The reason I'm upset and the reason that I'm just pretty put off by the Oscars, last year director Ari Aster wrote and directed a very unique horror suspense film. Mind you, horror films have been around since forever, since the beginning of cinema, and I guess for a good while they were maybe sometimes on the same vein as like a campy joke sometimes, or just made for pure shock value, like Saw veered into just straight up shock value, and then there's also just films just made to see just how gruesome or how disgusting they can go. Human Centipede, I'm looking at you. And at the same time, I will say this, like there are some classic horror films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which yes, I'm a fan of all those. I'm a fan of like the first Halloween. I don't like when a film goes off and just continues and they do sequel after sequel after sequel, beating a dead horse to death. It's just, I don't like when they go that far, but I can appreciate the original. And they are classics in the realm of horror, but there's only a few scary movies that are classics within the cinema world, cinema history. Number one would be The Exorcist. That was a tremendous film that scared the living hell out of so many people, but it was up there, and it is up there as an incredible film. And let's fast forward a little bit now. Get Out by Jordan Peele is another one that came out that it can carry weight, and it can be held to the standard of dramatic films. You know, which kind of reminds me, I would think the Stepford Wives kind of maybe could be in there, but I think it's more suspense than it is horror, but it's another one that I personally would consider it something worthy of being in the lists of some great films out there. But yeah, for the most part, you know, a horror film was a horror film. It was kitschy, it was a B movie, it was either bloody, gory, a joke, just something that they pull out for Halloween. I think Jaws could be another one, but that's more scary. See, now I'm probably compartmentalizing them a little bit too much. I'm trying to really like veer into what is a straight up horror film that could ever be nominated for an Oscar. And so Hereditary, which came out last year, completely blew my mind, and I consider it to be something of Academy Award caliber. The writing, the direction, the pacing of the film, the mood, the aesthetic, and above all, the actors. It was a truly disturbing film, but it is perfection to me. And Toni Collette, I mean, all of them had put out incredible performances, but I was completely blown away by Toni Collette, especially because her character really goes through something harrowing, and she's got a few scenes where she's just letting all of it out. Anger, frustration, despair, and sorrow, like amped up to the nth degree. And she is not overacting, she is acting perfectly. She's right where she should be. Her performance was right there. It didn't pass, for me, it didn't pass anything to make it look cheesy or corny. It wasn't subdued, and it wasn't overacting. It was just, it was moving. And I thought, oh, for sure, this is like the performance of the year. I remember when the trailer came out in the theaters, I was like, oh, because a lot of horror films have been coming out. It seems to be the fad lately. I kind of want to say it's partly due to Get Out, but at the same time, I think horror films have slowly been trying to come up, and you know, they're not always going to be released in the fall. They're being released round the year. And you know, we have the Netflix films too that are gaining momentum, and I've been actually thrilled about it. I like seeing something new, and I'm so excited for all these films that seem to have like a unique spin on them. I'm excited for that. I love a good scary movie. And I remember when I saw the trailer for Hereditary, the trailer was perfect. Didn't really say too much, you know, because that's the other thing. There's a lot of trailers that I'll be sitting there in the theater and I'm just thinking, God, the trailer's giving way too much away. I don't need that much. Honestly, I feel like a teaser is perfect. Whenever it's like a 2-3 minute trailer, it's like, ugh. It's almost like a behind the scenes, or it's like an in-depth look at a film. Really, just give me like a 1 minute teaser, and I can tell you right then and there if I'm going to watch it or not. That's how it should be, honestly. But times change, and I guess there's new types of advertising, whatnot. Whatever works, I guess. For me, I don't like to see too much. Just enough, and then I've made my decision. And Hereditary's trailer was perfectly enigmatic. There's a kid. It's Toni Collette kind of talking about, I guess, you know, she lost her mother and just trying to cope with it. But it was just so ominous. And then you hear the tongue clicking, and I was just like, okay, that's all I need to see. This looks good. Like it takes itself seriously, but in a good way. Like, this film is not pulling any punches. It's gonna scare me, but I know it's gonna scare me with something different, because we don't always want to see the same thing, you know. If I want to see a slasher film, I'll see a slasher film. But if I'm going to see a horror film, I do want to see something new. That's why I loved Get Out so much. It was very different. It had some shades of the Stepford Wives, and even Jordan Peele said he was inspired by it. But overall, like, that film by itself was, I think, what opened my eyes to what some scary films could really be. And so when I sat down to watch Hereditary at night, alone, with my headset on. I think I didn't know what I was in for because I purposely watched it alone with my headset on because I was like, when I watch a film for the first time, I want to sit there and I want to listen to every single word that they say. I really want to pay attention. I'd rather the audio come to the headset as opposed to like if I have it like playing in the open, because I may not exactly catch it. And I don't want to watch subtitles because I can't like it. I don't want to look down, look up, look down, look up. I want to hear it. I want to hear everything. And that was a big mistake. Not really. I'm being dramatic because it was frightening. But yeah, like this film, the sounds were disturbing. Everything. There's a lot of quiet moments, which I like. And the pacing was perfect. It was like deliberate, but not so slow that you're in agony. It was the perfect pacing to keep you on edge. And it didn't resort to jump scares, which this film didn't need, but it was horrific and moving. And what the family is going through and what the mom is going through with her son, which I guess that's what also pulls it into something different. This isn't just any other scary movie. They're going through something. They're like bound to each other. And then the fear of just, it's the eldest son's emotion. Everything is bouncing off the mother and then also the father. Like, I don't want to give too much away just in case any of you haven't seen the film. You must see this. If you're not into scary films, I guess I'll understand. But if you're into movie recommendations, I'm telling you, this is something really different. This opened my eyes to the director. And yes, I'm very excited for Midsummer. You know, because of this, I want to see what else he can do. And I think I remember on Reddit, he had an AMA and they asked about one of the shots of his film and if he was inspired by The Night of the Hunter, which that is also a great film. And I used a clip of it in one of my ASMR clips. It's the black and white film with Robert Mitchum. You gotta see that one too. If you guys ever get a chance, go back and see some black and white films or just see some older films if you can. I'm not saying fall in love with them, but just take a look at them because a lot of them inspired a lot of what we see now. Case in point, Night of the Hunter. It has some incredible cinematography, some really great shots. The use of lighting in that film is artistic and people noticed it. And the director of Hereditary, Ari, confirmed that yes, he was inspired by that. I think he even said, "Oh, I see you guys caught it." I guess I'm gushing about this film because I was just so impressed and I was so excited that something different had come out. And I was also so laser focused on Toni Collette's performance that I was like, without a doubt, 100% positive that she was going to get the nomination for Best Actress. So I'm holding on to this feeling for a while, and I'm just recommending this film to everybody. I'm just so in love with it. And the nominations come out, and she is not there. She is not listed. And I was so crushed. I was honestly just like, it was that moment where you just kind of wake up and you're like, are they not going to take this seriously? I can name one scene alone from that film that they can spotlight as to why she deserved not just the nomination, the win. And when I didn't see her name on the list, it was just like this kind of sense of irritation and just like, God, you know what are they doing? So if you're wondering who the nominees were for Best Actress in a Leading Role, they were Olivia Colman for The Favorite, Yalitza Aparicio for Roma, Glenn Close for The Wife, Lady Gaga for A Star Is Born, and Melissa McCarthy for Can You Ever Forgive Me. Now, I've seen all the films, and they were all great performances. But in all honesty, I could replace one for Toni Collette. I really could. I'm not upset that Olivia Colman won for The Favorite. I actually love The Favorite. I love Yorgos Lanthimos. I've seen The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and that one, I think that right now is probably a favorite of mine. The Favorite coming in. No, I think The Favorite and The Killing of a Sacred Deer, I really like both of them. The films are fantastic. He also kind of reminds me of R.A. in the sense that they're trying something really disturbing. The pacing is a certain way. They're kind of like this new wave of direction, I suppose. Like, I'm not upset that she won. I do think she put in a very beautiful performance. In fact, I'm glad that she won in a way. I am gonna say this, I feel like Lady Gaga's performance was, for me, not really worthy of being in contention, but I know I'm gonna get a lot of people disagreeing with me. I've seen all the A Star Is Born films, all of them, and I think Judy Garland's was probably my favorite, although Barbra Streisand was great too. I did see Can You Ever Forgive Me, and again, I thought Melissa McCarthy was good, but I also agree, maybe not it didn't have that same kind of weight that I think, you know, Olivia's, or again, Toni Collette's had. Yalitza Aparicio's performance was good. Again, I think, because I remember I had asked someone, like, what do they look for when they nominate these leading roles, these supporting roles, the performances in a film? And someone had told me that it's normally it's what the character goes through. And I guess that could seem unfair, because could someone in a comedy be nominated? Now, somebody has won for comedy before. The number one example in my head right now is Kevin Kline won an Oscar for his performance, his hilarious performance in A Fish Called Wanda. That's a comedy. But his character is like his character is all over the place. His character is robust, dynamic, insane. I agree with him winning. Like, I can understand that. Not every Oscar performance needs to be something that is a drama. And I agree that it shouldn't. Oscars should go towards a performance, period, that stuns beyond the other nominees. Olivia has some touching moments in The Favorite. So does Yalitza. Glenn Close's performance in The Wife I liked. That is a good film. But again, when I'm comparing the nominees to Toni Collette's performance, she's above and beyond, because the role she played asked so much of her. I guess I'm really trying to explain that. It's like hers was the most demanding. It's like a heavyweight type performance. And so I was just like, really? They couldn't replace one of these? I can replace two of these with her. I was so gutted. I really was. I love films, and I'm always enamored of a good performance. Like, you don't want to go in to see a film and see someone half-ass it. You don't want to go in and see bad acting. You want to see someone really give their all. You know, method acting or not, when a role like that one calls for certain emotions to show, if the actor pulls it off, the least they could do is nominate them. So I guess just after this, I kind of had this, it was like a feeling of exhaustion came over me. Like, all right, I don't think they're taking this seriously. I really don't. So I don't really know if I'll see the next Academy Awards. I'll probably like see the red carpet, if anything. I like to see a good red carpet sometimes. Sometimes I like to see the on-carpet interviews when they ask them, you know, so stuff about the film and their performance. Like, I like that, but I don't know if I'll see the show. Like, I'm still so disheartened. It's very upsetting. It just feels weird now. And I know that there's probably other examples out there. There have been Oscar snubs since forever. And I guess this is just the one that got to me the most. But I do have other examples of other Oscar snubs that this one was like the final straw. But I had some like other red flags, and I'm gonna discuss those in the next video too. Because for this one, I just wanted to focus on Toni Collette's performance. I wanted to focus on Hereditary, the film. But I will discuss, in fact, that's what I'll do, like the part 2, or just the next episode, the next rambling episode, I'm going to talk about a male actor that was snubbed. That not even won, wasn't even nominated. So, actually, guys, if there's any, are there any performances that were completely ignored by the Academy, or any maybe screenwriting nominations? Was there ever any film that you saw that you loved that never got any recognition whatsoever? Please let me know. Put it in the comments or anything. I'm dying to know what you guys think. What do you think of this? Did you guys see Hereditary? Did you think it was great? Did you think it stunk? Do you agree that, you know, no, she didn't, it really didn't call for a nomination? Like, just let me know. I don't think I'm crazy. I stand by what I think 100%, but I do want to know what you guys think. If you haven't seen Hereditary, check it out. Check out Get Out. See The Exorcist, you know, and yes, check out Night of the Hunter. I'm going to see if I can pull up some other great suspense films for you guys, and I will be back very soon. Thank you guys for stopping by. Have a good night. Bye.